Hey girl, hey, welcome back to another video. Thank you so much for joining, and I am your host, Fernanda Sakira, and this is Strutting with God. Today, we're going to be talking about now. Now? No. Now. Now? No. Now. Now means now, not what I just said now. Now means now. Now, to me, it seems very difficult. I feel like we never really understand the concept of now. It's always, oh, in a few days from now or a few days ago. We don't really comprehend that right now we're living in the times that we're going to be talking about. We're living in the times of where we wish we did something. Right now is a time where just focusing and grinding on now can put you and your future years ahead just for doing something now. And I want to focus on the differences between living in the now and living for the now. Or in a different word, living for the moment and living in the moment. In the Bible, there are many passages that tell us not to worry about the future and to forget the past. And I do want to bring some of them up right now. In Matthew 6:34, it says, "Therefore, do not be anxious about tomorrow, for tomorrow will be anxious for itself. Sufficient for the day is its own trouble." In Isaiah 43:18-19, it says, "Remember not the former things, nor consider the things of old. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? I will make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert." So now let's talk about Matthew, where it talks about do not be anxious for the future, for tomorrow. Tomorrow really never comes. Tomorrow is something that we always say, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll put it off till tomorrow. But tomorrow really never comes. Today is always here. The present is always here. And many times we have to just focus on today. What matters today, what matters now, and what the purpose is, and if today is going to help you get to your purpose. Now, before anything, I believe everyone's purpose in this world is to increase the kingdom of God. I truly believe that God has a purpose for everybody, and the main purpose and the purpose for everyone living in this world right now is to share the gospel and to share the truth and to share the love that Jesus has so that we can increase the kingdom of God. But now we have to have an end goal. My end goal is to one day hear, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." That is my goal. But when I'm living in the now, when I'm living in the present, I do want to be able to enjoy everything around me and to remember to thank God for every single moment, for every single day. But I do have to keep in mind and do in everything I do and think, is this going to bring me closer to my goal? Is this going to hurt Jesus's heart? Is this going to bring me to be able to increase the kingdom? Now that lies the difference between living in the moment and for the moment. Because if you live for the moment and not for God, you're living for that moment of pleasure. You're living for that second. You're living for that minute or hour or day of happiness. And I'll be honest, I use quotation marks to say that it's not even real joy. God is the only joy that we have. Happiness in that moment is something that's very temporary, and I want something permanent in my life. So when we are living for the moment, we disregard our future. And when we get to the future, you start living out consequences that you created when you lived for that past now, for that now. And I can be honest right now, I have so many things in my life right now going on that are consequences of choices that I made in my past. And God has forgiven me and I have repented. However, consequences still do exist because I chose to live for the now, for the moment at that time, and not in the moment and in the now for God. When we talk about having anxiety of the future, that's something I struggled with. Was my mind was always racing and living for the next. I was never living for the now. I was going, hey God, what's next? What's next for me? What's next for me? That I missed out on what was going on now in my life. And then when I even got to the next in my mind, I was like, okay, what's next? And I was never fully complete in myself. I was never fully satisfied in anything that I thought I wanted at the time, because I always wanted more, because there was not an end goal. It was just feeling good and feeling good and feeling good at the time, and wanting to get that high again, wanting to get that, getting that little temporary high, and then like long lows, like super long lows, for only a glimpse of highness, like a little happiness that made my flesh happy, but my spirit so unhappy. And that's what I kept striving for. Okay, what's next? What's next? What's next? Because my now was not good enough. My now wasn't built on a good foundation that I created in my past. And now I know a lot of people tend to also dwell in the past. And usually that causes some sort of sadness or depression in people, where they think about what they should have done, or what they could have done, or what should have happened, or what they felt could have changed. And many times that can play in your mind of you not feeling good enough, or not thinking that things can't change, or you're not worthy of things being better because of a mistake that was made in the past, or a loss that is in the past, or something that you don't understand that is in the past. And for the first time this past, what I just talked about, there are many mistakes that I made in my past that I always thought, okay, and I kind of played it with my anxiety for the future, like, oh, if this would have happened here, then in the future I could have looked forward to this. Or if I would have said this right things, that person would have stayed, and we would have been looking forward to that. And that is not how I want to live my life. It got to a point where I was like, is this all there is to life? Is this shoulda, coulda, wouldas, and what's going to happen, and just playing out scenarios in my mind that are not good, that are not from God? When I realized that my life is worth more than me dwelling in my past and looking forward and thinking of scenarios of my future, or thinking things that are not good, and putting myself in situations that are not beneficial for my future, and never actually planning a foundation for my now for myself, I gave it all to God. Because God can make all your mistakes, all your past, and he can turn it in for good, but we need to give it over to him, which means not dwelling on it, which means not worrying about it, which means letting God handle it. As well as, God, I don't know what you have planned for me. I'm done trying to guess what you're doing. I'm done trying to put scenarios in my head. I'm done figuring things out. I'm done trying to fill in the blanks on something that you did not give me to fill in the blank for. And I just gave it to God. Now, it's not like you wake up the next day and you're not worrying about your past and you're not worrying about your future. It's an everyday reminder. You have to give it to God every day and be in his word every day and see his promises in the verses I just read. Those are just a few. There were so many others where God constantly reminds you, where do not worry about your future, and do not dwell in your past. That we need to live for the now, and that now is more important. Tomorrow is not guaranteed, and yesterday was already done. But today is a new day. Every day is a new day. God's grace and mercy allows us to be a whole new person in his creation, to be a child of God every day, to have our minds transformed every single day. So we can't live for the now. We have to live in the now, because we have to live for the creator of the now, for the moment. We have to live for God. Sometimes the now may not look so pretty. Sometimes you do try to hide yourselves in the now, either by just thinking about in the future, by thinking of the future. Sometimes we hide ourselves in the now because it's so bad, by thinking of the past. Right now as I'm speaking, our world is going through so much pain right now. This is not a skin war, but a sin war. And we need to rise up and pray. Prayer is our first response, not our last resort. We need to do things now, say things now, speak up now, help wherever we can now, so that in the future we can look back at where we are right now and be proud of what we did, be proud of what we said, be a child of God, and remember that God gave you the power to say the things that you said, gave you the power to do the things that you did, to stand up for justice for our other brothers and sisters who are in pain right now. We are all in pain. But I'll be honest, me personally, I will never understand, and that's a privilege that I have. And I'm fully aware of that. But we need to say something now, and I'm living in the now. I'm living in the now, living for God. And that is something I truly believe and I truly stand for and will stand behind. Actually stand in front.